This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much!
On 97.7 FM, The City.
Greetings, blessings, and good fortune, everyone. It's another Thursday, and we're very glad to be back. We had a few glitches, as it were. Joe, across from the cameras on the other side there, asked for prayer. We came together in prayer, and here we are. So I would definitely like to say that Jesus had a hand in bringing us this broadcast to you. So we will give him, as always, all praise in the name of the King of Kings, Jesus Christ. May this program do some service or another to you. That is the intent. Not that we just have me bloviating over the airwaves. No, that could be done in any format. But what we would like to do, and what we are honored to do, is speak to you about things that might assist you in life, that might bring you to a better place, or equip you to bring others to a better place. That is our object. That is our mission. Okay? First of all, the kingdom of God. Second of all, the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. Now we are going off on 97.7 KCYP, the city, out of the McAllen Creative Incubator, which it's eerily silent here today, and I don't see any zombies or anything like that, so I think we're going to be okay. But I guess since it's close to summer break, the classes, the activities have been curtailed a bit, other than the fact that we still had a little bit of connectivity issues. We are going to and will and are persevering to the greatest degree possible. Now, I have some things on tap that I would love to talk about, to share, and to, how would you say, discuss. So what I like to do right now is get all of our equipment going. I'm on the Christopher Ott and the Bitcoin Otter feeds. So anyone who is looking at the show right now, I failed, as I do many times, but I failed to throw out the invite to the usual suspects, right? That watch the show, all you beloved deplorables out there. And I'm sorry that I didn't remember, but I'm sure you'll gather in once you have the opportunity to tune in. Let's see who we have. It looks like there's 2 watching right now, but that could be our own channels. I'm not sure. One thing I would like to say before we begin any discussion is Jeepers Creepers, man. It's a wonderful, wonderful time if you are an American and know why you're an American. Now, a lot of us are Americans, and we don't really know why. So we play these games with socialism, communism, which is the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. Communism is full-blown, and socialism is nothing less than communism without the AK-47. Once you add the AK-47, which is the inevitable result of socialism, you now have communism. And that's the only difference. It's basically a Kalashnikov. So where I'm wanting to go today, among other things, is to speak on one person, and I will forego any adjectives like heinous or any other things that really come to mind, because we still haven't we haven't purchased that spittoon that I like, because when I say and certain names, they really, it agitates and makes me want to vomit. So we don't have any receptacle for me spitting that out of my palate there, as it were. But what I would like to talk about is this creature called E. Jean Carroll. Yeah, I say creature because all know this person is backed by big money and friends of Epstein. How do we know this? Because we pay attention. That's how. And we don't watch TV. Wow. Could you imagine being a TV watcher in the greatest, perhaps the greatest time of America? Yeah, we had some heroic times, the Revolutionary War. And, I don't want to get into the Civil War because it wasn't what we were taught. But what I'd like to say is that we that don't watch TV are much more informed of truth than those who do watch TV. It really sometimes hurts my brain to think that there are people out there that believe what Whoopi says or Sonny Hostin says. And it's just really amazing to me. These people have been caught in so many lies that people believe them still. It's amazing, yet it is, I guess, interesting. I don't know, what can you say about it? It's just something that astounds me, that TV watchers can watch TV and then consider themselves informed. I don't know how. I don't really know, but it happens crazily. It happens. So as we go into the show today, and God bless all of you that are watching now live, and God bless all of you that are not watching live but have tuned in when you get the chance. And that is awesome, because I know that the podcasts that I listen to, I rarely get a chance to listen to them live or watch them live. So I'm busy, you know, I got a family and all that good stuff, great stuff. But I don't usually get to interact with the podcasts that I watch because they're late. And I hold no judgment against anyone that's watching the Bitcoin Otter show at a later date, because we get hundreds. We really do. We get hundreds of views on our shows. Thank you all. But it's not all live. One, I forgot again to do the intro and invite everybody with tags. But barring that, we're going to have either an audience live or we're going to have audience afterward. It doesn't matter. As long as our message gets through, and we believe, this is truly what we believe. We believe that the first message ought to be one of love, concern, and grace, right? So I want to make sure that God's message comes through, because I consider myself an interdimensional patriot, meaning the dimension of heaven has to be done. The kingdom of heaven has to be promoted, okay? Because that's the only thing I'm banking on. If I don't have Jesus and his kingdom, I got nothing. I could be a billionaire here, okay? I could be, and I won't use the name, but I could be the most evil person in the world with the most amount of money in the world. I'm going nowhere, right? You know, everybody knows that kind of tone, right? From WWE, or was it F? I don't remember. Anyway, what I'm getting at is this. If we're not conveying the message that God wants us to convey, we might as well convey it into nothing. Now, that being said, we had, again, connectivity issues. So our enemy is alive and roaming the earth looking to block God's message. Now, I'm not saying that every time we have a technical issue, it's our enemy, the great Satan. But what I don't mean great as in good. I mean great as in large. He's probably very large. But I don't concern myself with that, because Jesus is bigger than everything. So the fact of the matter is this. We are here, and Lord willing, you will be here for this message. And what is this message? It's one of awareness, okay? I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of, thank God, a lot of acquaintances. And what I've seen is, and I don't want to name names or anything like that, and I hope, you know, people don't think, if you're a friend of mine, that you don't think that I'm categorizing you, but there are what are called sunshine soldiers, sunshine patriots. Okay. What does that mean? It means that as long as it was summer, the campaign of the war, and we'll use the Revolutionary War as a perfect example. There were patriots that wanted the United States of America to be free, and they were willing to fight in the summer, but it's pretty cold in the winter, you know? Some of the most effective offensive maneuvers, crossing the Delaware, for instance, were in the crazy cold of winter. It took real fortitude, intestinal fortitude. It took grit. It took courage. It took all this for Washington, General George Washington and his troops, to cross the Delaware in a Dunham boat. Okay, this is why Q is always telling us, Dunham, right? Don't forget Dunham. Trust Dunham, right? Now, not only does Dunham mean a boat, Dunham means an investigator, an investigation. Okay. Now, where I'm going with this is that there still is a concept of the sunshine patriot. Okay. I have, in not modern days, they call them black pillars. So they were at one time someone who believed that, yes, Donald Trump is the guy. I voted for him. Things are going to happen. And I, of all people, will admit things are not happening fast enough for me. But I have to ask myself, who am I? Right? I'm some guy sitting in a chair talking to a couple cameras here. Who am I? I mean, how is it that I would expect that the greatest counterinsurgency operation the world has ever seen by the greatest military that has ever been assembled on the face of God's green earth, who am I to hurry them up? I'm no one. Am I an American? Absolutely. By grace of God himself, I am an American. But I can't rush the great patriots that have assembled the great minds to bring about the freeing of America after we were overthrown in 2020, okay? After it was inevitable to be done again into the ground, ladies and gentlemen. We were destined for depopulation, eternal servitude, boots on the neck, all of that Orwellian stuff was coming our way. The pandemic was the precursor, okay, ladies and gentlemen? It was the precursor to much worse things. But the patriots in the military of the United States of America woke up at some history, and I don't know that point. I am not read in, as it were. They woke up and they said, you know what, if we don't stop this, if we don't curtail this, if we don't control this, it's going to get to the point where the United States of America as we know it will cease to exist. And it almost got there, ladies and gentlemen. It almost got there. But they decided, okay, with, I would imagine, billions of revolutions of AI iterations, gaming out the best way, the method that had the least amount of collateral damage of citizens like you and me, okay? Our well-being always being foremost in their minds. Because if not for the citizens, if not for we the people, for what should America exist, right? And how do we go on serving God when we don't have a country to do it? Look what's going on in Africa. They're killing Christians left and right. Look what's going on in South Africa. You're killed based on the color of your skin, and they call it progress. Very interesting, isn't it? I would like to say, basically, that any and all participation in the American dream has to happen really by Americans. If we're not invested in the American dream, which should be a dream to make us the city on a hill, as it were, as the Bible says, right? An enduring, can't just be a flash in the pan, but an enduring flame of freedom that the world might look to as they develop their systems of governance towards the same endeavors, the same aims that we have, which is to serve God on earth and ultimately to become part of the kingdom of heaven after we die. And we can actually be part of that kingdom here on earth because God brought it down in the person of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, hopefully for most of us, for all of us. Very much I hope this. Otherwise, for those of us in the future. And where we're going with this is this. We have to be engaged. Because if you remember the founding documents, and I hope you do, we the people is a refrain that doesn't go out emptily. It's not an empty refrain. Okay? It doesn't go out in vain. We the people are necessary. You don't think that the greatest military on earth could have done things to wrest the power of America back from the international criminal cartel that overthrew us? You don't think they could have done it by force? Well, then if you don't think so, then you haven't been thinking about the technology, the weapons that are at their disposal that we know of, and then, the array that we do not know of, okay? There are so many things we just don't know Yet they exist, right? There was and I'm going to bring this for my Spanish-speaking friends, okay? And I'll translate it, right? I remember seeing a woman one time, and it was in a work setting, let's say, if you know what I mean. Anyway, she had a T-shirt on, and it said, "El Sancho es como el diablo. No se ve, pero existe." For my English-speaking friends, it means, Killjoy, the guy who cheats on you while you're gone from your house, you can't see him, but he exists. Okay, that's a rough translation. But Sancho existe. The enemy, our devil, our enemy, the devil, exists. Okay? However, the things we can't see are not always evil. For reasons beyond our ability to understand, God does not allow us to see all of his inner workings, all of his ways and methods. We can't really even handle them. The Bible tells us that his ways are above our ways in infinite measure. So when we try to go on this mission, we have to remember that we will have setbacks, but we know who the ultimate winner is. And this last Tuesday, a few days back, our beloved president went, to my accounting, as far as the information that I've seen, 119 to 119 wins. 119 for 119. Whoever he endorsed won. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this to me says very much. One, that we are cleaning up the election process, that more people and their one vote are being heard than perhaps ever before, because we are having an effect, a good effect, on the cheating that is rampant in the system. Okay. When you have people, when you have an entire party, and there's only two, you have a party that says we don't want anybody's ID to vote. We don't think anyone should be ID'd to vote. And then they are so racist to say that if somebody is a certain color, they can't get an ID because they're not smart enough. How racist of a comment is that? I'm not that certain color, but I'll tell you, I'd be pissed if I was, telling me I can't get an ID. But I have an ID to drive, right? I have an ID to get into a place that sells alcohol. I have an ID to buy alcohol. I have an ID to smoke cigarettes. I have an ID to do whatever it is that requires an ID to do. I have an ID for that, but I don't have one for voting because, well, I'm this color, or I'm this sex or that sex, and there's only two. So, as we go along, we have to see that things are happening. Things are looking up. So please, my brothers and sisters, let's not be doomers, okay? Let's not scream. And I posted a few times on Facebook about this, that we as Americans are watching a great time, okay? We're watching a time when we as Americans are literally having a victorious time. We're winning. And yet there are still people out there blackpilling and dooming about people not being arrested. I want to assure you, be it that you're watching live or watching in the future, things are happening. And if they weren't resolved by arrests, they were resolved. And if you're not watching, I'm winking at the camera. Okay, do you really think that Joe Biden is still alive? Do you really think that guy in the mask, guys in the mask, the guy with the earlobe attached, and then the guy with the earlobe unattached, the guy that was 6 foot plus, and then the guy that was 5'10"? Do you think those guys are Joe Biden? Ladies and gentlemen, the Patriots can't yet be completely transparent about how they're winning this war, this counterinsurgency against the people that would take over the United States and enslave us. They can't. It's a war. Deception is necessary in wars. That's why we can't, side with those idiots that think everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth is what he means to say and what he says what he means. Now, I do believe that he means what he says and says what he means, but we can't always, I guess, decipher what it is without thought. We need critical thinking skills. The modern American educational system will never equip you with that. You are not equipped with the skills if you are what's called educated today. If you have been educated in the modern sense, you have basically been denuded of these thinking abilities. Certainly not their thinking ability. They want you to think the way they think. Evil all the time. The times of Noah, if that ever came to your mind and you're a Bible reader, then you know exactly what I'm telling you. But if you want to think independently, using the free will that God gave you, they're not going to teach you that. It doesn't behoove them. They're here for a hostile takeover. Are you kidding me? Look what they did in the pandemic. For all, the ticks. We haven't even gotten to that subject yet. They're running around in airplanes and helicopters dropping ticks on our property. That'll make it so we can't eat meat. And then it only takes you 4 seconds to go onto YouTube to find somebody who says, hey, what if we were to throw ticks around and it would give people a disease that they couldn't eat meat? That would save the planet with less methane and, carbon emission gases. Are you kidding me? If you really believe that, you're either AOC or you wear a hockey helmet and drool. So, sorry to all those hockey enthusiasts and hockey players that do just such a thing. But the fact of the matter is, you can't believe that these people actually want to save the planet for you. For you. They might want to save the planet, but do you want to know who they believe or what they believe the greatest virus on planet Earth is? You, me. They consider us a virus. I can harken back to the first Matrix, where Agent Smith is talking to, I think it was Morpheus, and he's pressing his finger on his sweat and moving it around, and he says, you're like a virus. He put his nasty sweat to the nasty nose of the Borg and said, you're a virus. That's the way the criminal cartel thinks, the international criminal cartel. That's the way international bankers think of us. That's the way the Rothschilds think of us. That's the way the Khazarian mafia thinks of us, the Illuminati. Call it what you will. That's what they think of us, right? We are subhuman. And if we are human, then we need to be eradicated because they've sold their souls. Or perhaps they are bereft of one. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, we're winning. We are winning. If you guys have any comments, hey, we got a thumbs up over there. Can't tell who exactly it is, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. We are definitely in the time frame where we are winning. We are experiencing victories. It's just that they're not the ones that we ultimately want yet. Okay? But it's coming. It's coming. I know I'm no one to promise. I'm just an earth dweller like you, and I understand I don't have the inner workings or the answers to all these questions. Why is it that we can't arrest? That one I know. Because there's judges out there that are letting violent offenders free for the express purpose that they might violently offend again, that mayhem might be alive and well on our streets, that women, children, elderly, they cannot go safely. Even a man, you're standing in front of, in New York City, you stand in front of the subway, you don't know if some crazy guy that just got let out of a courtroom is going to come and push you into the train. You don't think it happens? Well, then look on YouTube, look wherever you need to look. Not on TV, because they won't show you these things. Because, well, Mamdani is in New York. And Mamdani is the savior of New York as he rapes and pillages every person there with his ugly politics. Okay? So, all that to say, let's break into this. Who won? Well, for those Texans among us, these two, well, the only two people in this place right now, included the snake, the swamp rat, Cornyn, was defeated. Yes, yes, and yes. And we have in his place the Honorable Ken Paxton, who has survived lawfare, has survived attacks in courts of law. You know, think about it. All those numbskulls quoting TV, Donald Trump is a 34-time felon. You know what? Those are communist courts. You see those judges? Sick people. Why do I say sick? Because they're compromised. Close ties to Epstein. Let's put it that way. Okay? Of course they're going to rule against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is exposing them all. So if I were him, I'd have my mugshot on the wall like he does in the White House. If you get arrested by and convicted by communists, you're doing something right. Kidding me? So Ken Paxton, okay, he's in. John Cornyn, the swamp rat, is out. But you know who else won? All you loyal watchers and listeners of the Bitcoin Otter Show. A guest of ours a few weeks ago, Gary Groves won. Gary Groves won. He's going to represent, he's going to try in another race against someone who Joe and I discussed we may have on the show. So this person is going to run from I won't call it the Democratic side because there's nothing Democratic about that side, but the Democrat side. So he's running, and we're going to, extend the olive branch, as it were, to this young man. Apparently, he's young. And we will see if he would mind coming on the show. And also, Gary Groves as of today, has an open invite to our show. So that's where we're going, because I want to make it open, fair, and honest, which is exactly what elections have not been since who knows how long. So as we endeavor to persevere in the vein of fair elections, I want to be just that. I want to be fair. And whatever the agenda of this young man is, we will find out if he, decides that he wants to come on the show and talk to us. So apparently he's local. So hopefully he can make it. Joe's going to reach out, see what happens, and we'll keep you posted. I've already told you that Gary Groves, the man who came on a few weeks ago and told us that, near and dear to my heart, a very, very, very near and dear subject to my heart, he wants to get rid of property taxes, an evil that has been foisted upon us by a wicked system. Okay. It should never be that someone pays their house off and then loses it because they can't pay the confiscatory taxes involved. That is a crime, ladies and gentlemen. A crime. We have a right to property as Americans. This is not communism. This is not socialism. This is not George Soros land and Klaus Schwab. You will have nothing and be happy, says Uncle Klaus. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what you can do, Uncle Klaus, and I won't do it now because there might be children watching. But I'll tell you later. Anyway, we're seeing victories. Okay, we might not see them in the courtroom because of how many communist judges there are, and they all get these important cases randomly, right? That's the way it works, right? Boasberg, a random case gets Boasberg, but you know what? It's a very important one, and it involves enemies of the deep state, so he's going to be on it. Him or Ketanji. Don't get me started with Ketanji and her ilk on the Supreme Court. Only two, Alito and the great Clarence Thomas, okay, were willing to hear the case that I believe Florida brought against California. And it had to do with licenses given to illegal aliens. So, or non-citizens, whatever it is. So there was a very bad accident in Florida where I think a family was killed because the driver, an illegal alien from India, smashed into this family and killed them. The, I guess, prevailing opinion or the prevailing sense of the situation is that he couldn't read the road signs because he didn't know English. So they're giving them out like candy, these commercial driver's licenses in California, because they're communists. Let's not pretend anything. They need a population because the Americans there don't want to, have their blood, sweat, and tears robbed in the form of taxes. They don't like the feces on the street. They don't like any of that stuff, so they're moving out. So they got to be replaced so that the communists in California can retain the congressional seats. I know I said a lot there, but the fact of the matter is, Sue, good to see you. Glad you could watch. Dad, if you're watching, Jim, Tammy, hello. So where I'm going with this is Florida, as a state in the union, to my knowledge, and it is limited, only has one court to appeal to, which is the Supreme Court, because they're suing California. Now, it seems to me that it's a very important issue. Illegal aliens receiving identification so that they can be employees of commercial enterprises that do interstate business on the behalf of whatever those commercial companies are. So if you give out licenses in California to drivers that are going to cross state lines, well, then now you're affecting another state. So Florida says, hey, we want to be made whole here. We want to see that you do something about this problem. Stop giving illegal aliens commercial driver's licenses. We don't want them in our state if they can't read the road signs. They will be killing more of our families. But that's what California is all about. That's what California, or their leadership, I should say, not Californians, but their leadership, okay? Their leadership is all about killing families until they get to a certain level where then they have enough servants and then they'll stop, okay? Or they have a people that is very low IQ and they can't understand that they're in submission and that they are oppressed. But for the rest of us, we're targets. We're prime targets, okay? If you want to know where I'm gathering this from, look no further than the Georgia Guidestones. The Georgia Guidestones told us in 10 different languages, and I kid you not, look it up, in 10 different languages of the 10 commandments of how to run this earth. The first one was keep the human population under 500 million. I do not lie. It has been destroyed. Thank God it has been destroyed. But the internet is forever. You can see it. The 10 commandments of ruling the earth, as per the globalists or whoever put it up. Anyway, where we see ourselves going today is that if a state has no form of redress to settle differences with another state, because the Supreme Court, okay, 10 of 12 refused to hear the case. What does that tell us? It tells me that they are not who they say they are. They are not honest, except for, my opinion, Alito and the great Clarence Thomas. Okay? Why would you think that the other 10 don't want to even hear a case between states? Now, it's not like somebody says, hey, I'm going to the Supreme Court because my neighbor threw trash in my yard. Much different. There are other venues, other avenues of approach for that neighbor who feels that he or she was offended. So when a state sues another state, where are you going to go? You're not going to go to a California court. You're not going to go to a Florida court. There would be bias there. And how do you know any other state of the union would be basically unaffected or neutral? You don't. So you appeal to the Supreme Court. And if you get no answer from the Supreme Court as a state of the great United States of America, how do you proceed? How do you go forward? We're going to find out. But I'll tell you what, I hope that Florida state troopers are pulling over a lot of truckers. And I'm sorry for all you American truckers, but Floridians, Texans, we don't want to get killed because people can't read the road signs. We don't want that. So California, stay out of our states. Okay? You take that state, you cheat in your elections because we know you are, right? New scum. We know who you are. And I hope one of these days that the great people of California rise up, okay, and in some way unseat new scum, okay? But I'll tell you what, the cheating apparatus there must be enormous, and we only know a little bit. We know the tip of the iceberg. We know Georgia. We know Maricopa. Maricopa County. Disgusting and vile are those leaders, so-called Katie Hobbs. Scum. Minnesota, Wisconsin. I think they have, to steal a term from Red Pill 78, they have measures of magnitude, orders of magnitude more voters than they have residents. This is another thing going on, ladies and gentlemen. Another thing. Here's what's going on. We, as Americans, are trying to clean up our election process, right? So the Department of Justice, in whatever avenue they have decided to go, have sent out messages to all of the 50 states in the nation about federal rules applying or being applied to. And these are laws. These are rules of law pertaining to federal election. So if you as a state would like to participate in a federal election for the federal office of president of the United States of America, if you want to participate in that, you must follow these laws. So the usual suspects in the usual places are refusing to follow these laws. You name it. California, Illinois, Georgia, Arizona, New York, probably Massachusetts. Who knows what other criminally led criminal enterprise that calls itself masquerades as a state, okay, has not complied. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen after this sip of coffee. Here's what's going to happen. They are going to have the door of opportunity slammed in their faces. I know it's just me. I'm here with a microphone and, my shirt on. My grandson's going to have a birthday soon. So he gave me this for Father's Day, him and his brother, his little brother. So it says, the man, the myth, the legend, Papa. For you, Johnny. Hope you're watching, Johnny. I don't know if she's on or not, but I love you guys. But where I'm going with this is I'm just a little guy, but I'm telling you, they're not going to be able to participate in a federal election if they don't toe the line. And for great reason, because we know it is rife with fraud, corruption, lies, 4 a.m. ballot drops. We still don't know who gave the order in 2020 to stop counting. Never happened before. Never happened before. They claimed a pipe burst in Atlanta, Georgia, somewhere. And that's a lie. It never happened. They just wanted to send all the election watchers and inspectors away. And then as we have on video, from under the tables come the fake votes. Yeah, it's obvious. It's obvious for anyone who wants to watch. But what I anticipate, and this is just me, is that these states are going to be very surprised, at least the people of them. The leaders know what's going to happen. But they're not going to be able to participate in free elections because they refuse to follow rules of free elections. They refuse, first of all, to demand that the person voting has ID, right? They refuse. They refuse to have their election devices, their voting machines inspected. Or if they get them inspected, then they alter them, like we saw in so many places. I would be here all night discussing all that, right? Voting machines should never, ever touch the internet, and they are by design connected to the internet in just about every place that they're used. We're talking Dominion. Dominion that has a nexus to Venezuela, China, and other places. Now remember, Executive Order 13848. I believe it was 2018. Donald Trump signed it into existence. It passed through the Auto Pen administration. And it is now active. If any foreign entity or government meddles with the United States, all of their assets are forfeit. All of their assets will be seized by these great United States of America. We the people. So our representatives are they're gonna take it. So if Venezuela was involved, take it. China, take it. Iran, take it. Who runs Iran? London runs Iran, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think we're in Iran for nothing? Huh? Come on. We're there for a reason. And it's not Iran. The people of Iran are not our enemy. Okay? The people that subjected them to whatever kind of Sharia law or burqa, whatever, shmurka burqa law, right? Whoever subjected them to that. Because if you see photos of Iran in the 70s, they were just like us. They were just like us. Right? Free. So the international criminal cabal, the Khazarian mafia, the Illuminati, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, they subjected Iran, controlled Iran. Why? The Strait of Hormuz. It's a choke point for the worldwide bloodline of oil, right? That was all just neutralized, all just taken care of by the great patriots of the United States of America and the tip of that spear, Donald Trump. Okay? So it's more than just oil. It's more, and by the way, as you go to pump your gas, it's not Donald Trump that caused this. We don't get oil from that area. Okay? We don't get oil. But the owners of those companies, the deep state players, want you to pay more at the gas pump, thinking that Donald Trump did it. Because they think you're ignorant and they're wrong. They think you're not patient to wait for the freedom to come. The freedom that is to come, to arrive. Okay? It will. It will. Now, another thing that I would like to talk about is this creature. Her name is E. Jean Carroll. Yeah. And she's out there saying, and well, let me first preface it with this. She has had two judgments in her favor against our great president, Donald Trump. One was for $5 million. Then the next, I think, was $85 million. Now, of course, it hasn't been paid out for good reason. So she goes to court and she tells people that I had no help with my legal fees. Under oath, she says this. I had no help with my legal fees bringing forth this suit against Donald Trump. And she said that this thing that she couldn't really remember, then she called it an assault of the sexual nature by our great president towards her. And you look at her and you would say, you know what? No. Billionaires aren't going to go for that. You got to look at her. And no offense to, yeah. Anyway, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I want to get into details. But she says that whatever happened in a dressing room at a department store. And supposedly it was a very high muckety-muck store. So where I'm going with this is she's a liar. So first of all, she did have help. Matt, good to see you. Deplorable Matt is watching on the Bitcoin Otter version of Facebook. Thank you, Matt. So we're going over E. Jean Carroll. And she claimed that she was not helped with any legal fees, and she claimed that There was a certain dress. Yeah, I wonder where she got that from, Clinton. Lewinsky. There was a certain dress that she was wearing when this thing that she just remembered occurred. This assault upon her person. As heinous as it might be. She claimed that this dress was what she was wearing during that time. And you know what? That dress was not even in production. It did not exist at the time she claims she was assaulted by our great President Donald Trump. She's a liar. A liar that has been awarded $5 million and $85 million for lying. She was awarded this by people who are compromised, put into place to not only accept lies, but to parade them as truth. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, when your neighbor at the barbecue or your cousin or your aunt, your uncle, your parents, your children tell you, I want arrests now. All those Epstein clients need to be arrested. Please respond with kindness, patience, and concern. But remind them of all of these judges that are so corrupt that the simplest of honest judgments are not borne out because their courts are corrupt beyond measure. We cannot have justice with these people. And once we do arrest these people that have committed very, very ugly crimes against humanity, there is a corrupt system that randomly, and I have, if you're only listening, using the air quotes, randomly assign cases to people such as Boasberg. Okay? And when these corrupt judges get these cases, they know what to do. They release. And then what are we going to be able to do, ladies and gentlemen? We have something called double jeopardy laws in this country. You cannot put a person on trial for the same charge twice. Ladies and gentlemen, making arrests now is a mistake. Okay? I truly believe, because you all know that I have full faith, first of all, in God above. Second of all, I do believe that what the Q drops have told us is true, meaning justice is being administered. We may not see it, but it is being administered. Okay? And if you don't believe me, look at the guy with a mask on Fox News or whatever news it was. Okay? Do you remember that? It happened last week, a few days ago. Guy had a mask. You could clearly see that his V-neck shirt was down to here, and the mask only went, if it was this far, the mask only went to here. And you see the guy's mask. Right? Okay, Sue says, let me see. She says, oh, Joey's watching. Sue's watching, and Matt's watching. So Sue says, why is there not price gouging laws for oil and gasoline? I know we have them in Florida for times of emergency, but it should never be allowed for any product. It is the epitome of taking advantage of the American people. Is there no recourse? You know, Sue, that's a good question. I would imagine that they hide under some, I guess, preconceived notion that there may be emergencies of their own. And if they don't get the prices they need, then they won't be able to supply the oil or the gas that we need. Okay? I'm sure they have very, very high-priced lawyers to articulate that idea much better than I can. But I agree with you that there should be recourse, because we know that our oil doesn't come from that side of the world. We know that we're getting oil from various locations, and it is enough. It is sufficient. I believe, and I'm not certain, that as soon as Donald Trump got into office, he began to refill the reserves, the oil reserves, that the auto pen or the masked Biden depleted. So we do have enough oil. And if I know, I maybe chime in here, guys. I don't know who, but somebody was out there saying that as an oil engineer or an oil person in the oil business, they know for a fact that we have sufficient oil, that it is only a ploy of the owners of these oil companies, or the owners of the companies, if you know what I mean, right? The puppet masters, that they are using this opportunity to hurt us in the worst, well, maybe not the worst way possible, but any way possible. So yes, I agree with you that there should be recourse, but I'm not sure as to what that is. I don't really know. I mean, it's not like we can't refuse to buy oil. And if you go to the, let's say, oh, well, that's why we should all, drive electric vehicles. Where do you think electric vehicles get their electricity? Oil. Okay? It's a diesel generator that creates your electricity into your Tesla or whatever you drive. Don't ever think that it comes out of nothing. That would be real Tesla technology, and we're not allowed to have that. Oh, Elon Musk is great. Yeah, whatever. But he doesn't sell real Tesla tech. Real Tesla tech takes ambient electricity. He showed this in Buffalo, New York, in I think it was 1918. Drove around in his Pierce Arrow. Used to be a restaurant in New York called the Pierce Arrow, Buffalo. And he drove around in his Pierce Arrow automobile all day long in front of business owners and entrepreneurs at speeds of up to 70 some miles an hour without recharging. All the way back then. We're not allowed to have that tech, ladies and gents, because of the same owners that you were just decrying, Sue. Those same people. This is why hemp was outlawed, and they called it marijuana to scare people that didn't know Spanish, right? Because these same usual suspects had bought up forest acres, thousands, millions of acres in the United States of forests to provide paper. And then here some, upstarts come up. Hey, wait a minute, there's a weed out here, a literal weed that we can make paper out of. It grows lickety split. We can make clothes out of it and everything. Oh, but you can smoke it. So, man, let's call it a narcotic. Let's call it marijuana. Okay? And put out movies like Reefer Madness to scare people. Because we've got millions of acres of forest we need to sell. It's the same thing over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. Same thing over and over again. But what I would like to tell you is E. Jean Carroll was indeed financed by an Epstein client, Reid Hoffman. Reid Hoffman was also behind Kathleen Blasey Ford. I think Kathleen. Anyway, Blasey Ford were two last names because she doesn't want to be a master of the patriarchy. She takes her grandfather's name. Yeah. Anyway, Blasey Ford was financed by Reid Hoffman, as was E. Jean Carroll, because Reid Hoffman doesn't want Donald Trump to succeed because Reid Hoffman is a friend of Epstein. Not only a friend, but a visitor of the island frequently. Yes, and yes. So, as we close out here, we got a few minutes, what I would like to tell you is this. Please do not lose hope. Please do not listen to doomers or become one yourself. Please do not imbibe the black pill. Please do not purvey the black pills. We will win, ladies and gentlemen. We will win. And what I want to tell you also, and I have to, it's incumbent upon my conscience, that we, as citizens of this great nation, and hopefully all of us are citizens of the kingdom of heaven as well, or most importantly, we must remember that even though things don't look good, there are places that we can look, and TV is not included, newspapers are not included. Okay? We can find victories. Small, medium, and large. We can find victories. They're out there. They're there. We just have to look for them in places that the usual suspects don't want us to see. If you want a little bit of assistance with that, hit me up. Hit me up on Messenger, and I'll tell you what, I'll throw you whatever subject matter you're interested in. I could probably find some info for you, complete with receipts, juice, sauce, whatever you want to call it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask God, I invoke the name of Jesus Christ, that he might bless you in your endeavors, that he might safeguard you in your homes, in your businesses, in your walk. That our country, the United States of America, be brought back to greatness. And it is not a greatness born out of human effort. It's a greatness bestowed as grace, many times unmerited grace upon us. In my case, I haven't deserved it. God gives it. I dare say that's the human condition. But God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that of Jesus Christ. His name is Jesus, not Muhammad, not Guru, Mahatma, whatever. His name is Jesus, Yeshua, Jesus. Okay? I declare it. And it doesn't come from me. There was a time when I never would, and my family knows that. But here I am declaring the name of Jesus Christ. Not only over this broadcast and you as listeners, but this world, and specifically the United States of America, because we lead the world. Hopefully not into a pit like San Francisco or Houston, but into great heights, onto precipice of greatness, the precipice of greatness, the peak of freedom of this world. Safeguarding the autonomy of humans, because that's what God does. He gives us free will. Any government system that takes that away from us is evil. I understand we need speed limits. I understand, certain things about how it is. We might harm each other. I understand that. Okay. I'm not a real full retard libertarian. But what I would like to say is that whenever a system of governance takes away freedoms, you have to question it. And there has to be a system, Sue, as you said, of redress, recourse. What recourse do we have against these oil companies? Well, let's find one. Let's find one, because they're hurting us purposely now, unnecessarily. So I say all that to say this. Before I sign out, God bless you. Happy birthday, Johnny. God bless you. God bless your families. The United States of America, the greatest country on God's green earth. May we, as citizens and lovers of America, bring all nations up in civilization. And may our enemies fail to tamp it down. God bless you. Bitcoin Otter's out. Have a great week.
This is the Bitcoin Otter Radio Show.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
On 97.